at the end of days. The first sign shall appear in the heavens. Justice shall fall upon the world of men. The armies of light and shadow will clash across the fields of eternity. Are you all right, my girl?
It was nothing, Uncle. Just a bad dream. We should be getting you home.
But there's still work to be done. If these translations are correct, the powers of hell could already be on the move. The world must be told of the coming darkness. You do believe me, don't you, Leah? It has begun.
Leave it, Uncle! It's not important!
Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new series on the channel. We are going to play Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. Make sure we sign into the right one. Yep. It will no longer work if the update is removed. Sure. Okay, so what we do need to do is we need to delete our old hero. And we are going to create a new hero. Okay, guys. So, just some background about what is Diablo 3 and why do I play it just all the freaking time. Diablo 3, for me, is the game that World of Warcraft should have been. And I'm so happy that someone at Blizzard thought, you know what? I'm going to build a version of World of Warcraft which is single player, which isn't online only, and where soloing is entirely possible and good fun. They also decided that they were going to drastically change the loot system that they already had from Warcraft, just for the better, all round better. And adding in just so many different types of weapons and armor, and then the transmog system as well, which we'll go into at a later date. Oh man, it's just so awesome. And then they brought out their standard classes and added in new classes with the one DLC which they've made. And in the years and years and years of this game being a thing, they've only ever released one add-on pack for it, which is a little bit sad, but what with the sheer amount of WoW players there are, it just makes sense. And then they made the decision to port Diablo 3 over onto console, which just worked so much better than the PC one. It just brought it forward, you know, and it opened the door to a lot of people who don't have PCs to actually play a perfect loot game. And time and again, this game is held up as what loot should be in a game. Okay? And many other dungeon crawlers and other non-dungeon crawler games have attempted to emulate the loot system in this game, and so far not one of them has managed to come close to the perfection that is Diablo 3. Okay, so a quick rundown of the classes that you've got here. All of them are unique and special. So a Barbarian, you might think that's a warrior class, but you would be wrong. This is more of a berserker type class, an all-out attack class which sacrifices defense for just full-out attack. Okay, it's all about a frenzy of assaults taking place. That is the point of the Barbarian. Okay, yes, they can hold their own and have an enormous amount of health, but they are not about defense at all. They're an all-out attack. Next, we have the Crusader, all-out strength. Okay, this is a standard tank, probably one of the few standardized characters in there, but it's also a sort of magic tank, if you will, more of a paladin tank of anything. If you wanted to compare it to other games, this is your paladin tank. This guy has enormous amounts of survivability and is great fun, but there is a bit of an issue with playing it as a solo character. You can play it, but the DPS of this character is really quite limited. When you look at other characters that you could play, I mean, especially when compared up against the Barbarian, you're going to be doing so little damage in comparison. So you really do need to think about that before going into a solo campaign with this character. You can do it, but there's more DPS out there. You're going to spend a long time in each fight, but you're definitely going to survive each fight that you're in. Next up, we have the Demon Hunter. Now, this is a pure all-out ranged DPS, requiring some... well, it is more of an advanced type character. I would not recommend this to a beginner at all. I really would not. This character requires an awful amount of kiting. What do I mean by kiting? Hit and run tactics, you know, hit an enemy then run away. Don't stay in the same place for too long. You always have to think about spacing with this character. How far away are you from enemies? Maintain your range from them so they can't attack you. Always be aware to dodge ranged attackers as well. This guy can really crumble against ranged attacks, so you have to be really quite smart and use your brain when it comes down to that. So yeah, that's a more... this is sort of a ranged assassin type character. This is the main sort of deal of these guys. They're ranged, yes, but it's more about being a ninja, jumping in and out of situations and stuff like that. These work brilliantly when combined with, if you're playing co-op, which this game just freaking rocks at. If you are playing co-op, I highly recommend that one of you chooses this character or the wizard character, which will come out as a moment, as a pure form of DPS. Your other guy can be a Barbarian, a Crusader, whatever, just someone to draw the attention of the enemies so that you can just do pure DPS with these guys. Next you have Monk, probably the only hybrid character available for you. This character is a bit of everything, a bit of tankiness, a bit of DPS, and a bit of a healer combined as well. They can heal quite quickly, they can attack very quickly, and they do have pardon me, they do have some really sort of high DPS skill as well. So they can just do a bit of everything. The one main issue with this guy is crowd control. Now, crowd control is a really big deal in this game. Now, if you're a Barbarian or a Crusader, then your main crowd control will be about sucking enemies towards you. You know, imagine yourself as a vacuum. You just want to be sucking enemies towards you, bringing them into a big group, and then using your AoE damage to just AoE them down. The Monk has limited CC ability, okay? And what do I mean by CC? Crowd control. You need to be able to control the guys you're going against, where they are, control their spacing, keep them away from other players if you're playing co-op, or just make sure that they're just weakened and that you're always taking them out. Now, this has some limited ability for crowd control, but that's it. Very limited. We're going to skip over Witch Doctor for now, and we're going to move down to the Wizard. The Wizard is your primary DPS character. There is no other character out there that can come close to the damage that Wizard can do. However, Wizards have a main issue, which is that they just suck at taking damage. They cannot withstand large amounts of damage. They do have some abilities for reducing the amount of damage they take and for escaping certain situations, but their main issue really sort of strike out when it comes to enemies that are fast, that can take them out very quickly. But I would recommend this as a DPS class if you're playing co-op. This is the primary class you should really consider. And if one of you is taking a tanking on ability, so you're going to be a monk or a crusader or a barbarian, that's great. The other one needs to be a wizard or a demon hunter. That's just what you need. You know, if these characters don't have to worry about crowd control, then yeah, they just wreck face with enormous amounts of damage, and it's simply incredible. Next up, and the last one I'm going to show off, is the Witch Doctor, your necromancer character. However, this character does a little bit of everything as well when it comes to sheer amount of sort of spells variety. There's a little bit in here for everyone, but their main real thing that they do is their necromancy type ability. Now, with the right build, you can have enormous amounts of crowd control by simply bringing just so many little minions to the fray. You can bring some zombie dogs, some little dudes with knives, giant massive zombie hulks. You can bring the lot to the fight. You can bring in out exploding toads, plagues, all kinds of crazy abilities which these guys have. But what they mainly have, which makes them so freaking strong, is crowd control. Okay? They can take on vast amounts of enemies in near perfect amounts of safety. They're always behind a wall of their own creation, making them an incredibly strong soloing character, due to the fact that they just have so much defensive capability. As a solo character, this has got to be the number one that you pick for, okay? This character can keep itself alive simply by not being in the fight. It sends its minions to go in there for it, and it just survives and survives and survives, and does enormous amounts of damage as well. The minions are buffed by him as well. And we will be going with the Witch Doctor for this playthrough. So, we're going to select the Witch Doctor, and we need to get ourselves a new name. So, we need a suitably necromantic. Ooh, I have an idea. How about we do Dinecro? That sounds quite fun. Dinecro. Oh, yes. Okay. Some important stuff to talk about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through from the Create a Hero page and just take you guys through it. As you can see, every single character here has a primary attribute, okay? And their primary attribute affects the damage that they do. Okay, now there are other attributes which aren't shown here which do affect the gameplay, but basically the primary attribute stacks damage. Okay, so intelligence, you're going to be stacking, it's going to give you 20 times damage, 50 times damage, 1,000 times damage, whatever it is, you're getting a straight percentage increase on your damage, which acts as a modifier for all damage done, not just by you, but by your minions as well. Okay, so that's intelligence, is mainly the sorcery type primary attribute. Dexterity, this is based in speed, but also affects it does affect damage. And then you've got strength, which affects damage as well. So it all just stacks on top of each other. So we'll be selecting Dinecro. And the last thing we need to talk about is difficulty. Now, this game has a very interesting difficulty. Now, they've just brought out X13. So X13 is the highest difficulty in the game. Well, I call it X13, it's just 13. Basically, what it means is as you go up the difficulties, you're going to receive extra XP, extra gold, and better loot drops as well. So, for example, normal difficulty, you're going to start out 0 extra gold, 0 extra XP. As soon as we move on to hard, 75% extra gold and 75 extra XP. Expert, 150 extra gold, 150 extra XP. Master, you're going to be moving up to 225. Now, I don't like to go to Master until I'm at least level 61, just because it doesn't give me the bonus to picking up gems, and we'll talk about gems later on. Okay, and then Torment, to actually begin Torment, which is the sort of end game for us. Master is where I want to get to during the campaign, but Torment, you have to get to level 70 to complete, so we won't even bother about worrying about that for now. But anyway, we're going to be starting off with Act 1, The Fallen Star. And we'll be playing on normal. Let's start. Okay guys, I am going to be skipping most of the cutscenes in the game. What I will do is I will do my best to explain it. So I'm going to skip that so that we can get all the way into the gameplay. So my guy is a witch doctor. He's sort of a voodoo type guy. And I start with this ranged skill ability, which is this poison dart ability. It does give me the poison damage effect, which is really nice. It's kind of difficult to pick your targets, but you can do it by just moving around. It will help you affect other because I want to try and poison as many different ones as possible. Captain Bumford, more dead are coming. So at the moment I'm level 1 and I only have one ability. So if you go and check out the bottom left of the screen there, you'll see what I'm working with. There we go. So you can see there's quite a few dead here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be kiting. So if any dead get too close to me, I will be backing it up. I apologise for the coughing. I'm getting a little bit of a tickly cough.
I've never seen anyone fight like that before.
Okay, so we gained a new spell. So this is the main equipment, and it's activated by using select skill or the window button on Xbox. I will be playing this on Xbox. This is the skills area where we pick our skills that we do and we assign them to different buttons. So certain buttons have activate a different category of spells. Now we have 6 different buttons to utilize, and they're very well placed as well. And then we have lots of passive abilities, and then further down there we have powers, which we don't have to worry about. Paragon, once you reach past level 70, you continue to get XP, and as you do that, you can start increasing the amount of certain stats. You can just start boosting stats. You can just straight pick which stats you want. Quests, this is just the quest log here, so it tells us what we're doing. We're going to talk to Leah in the Slaughtered Calf Inn. So our inventory slot over here, very, very simple. These are all the different inventory slots that we have for our character. I like to spin it around to see if I've got any new items. We do in fact have a Overwatch item, which will give us the Mercy's Gaze. Basically, these are just wings.
You'll find Leah at the slaughtered...
But I don't like to use them. Yeah. So at the moment, all we have is just our simple knife. So that's fine for now. We've gained a new ability. So here's our poison shot. It just shoots a deadly poison dart. Grasp of the Dead. Summon ghoulish hands from the ground that slow and damage enemies. So as you can see, this is a CC ability. This will slow down enemies who are in this area and they'll suffer damage. So not only is it a crowd control ability, but it is an AoE ability that we can direct, which is a very good way of starting any fight, just to CC some enemies and to give yourself some AoE damage against them. There's the stash here, so I've got quite a few Signet Rings of Blizzard here. I want to scroll through and just see whether or not any of them have... I think I'm going to take the one which has... 14 vital... no, I want the highest life per hit. Yeah, I'm going to take that one. So that's going to auto-equip. So, Signet Rings of Blizzard are fantastic. I'm going to equip it now, so I get 26 life per hit. That's fantastic. And I get a 10% chance to freeze per hit. Every time your character... every time you start a new character, you'll get a Signet Ring of Blizzard, which you can just keep. And they're quite good. They're a legendary item. Let's talk to Leah, and she's going to be like, oh my god, these guys are coming. So we're going to use our CC ability there. So they're already taking damage that way. Killing business. Very good.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to use this potion. We increased our vitality stat, and I talked about stats earlier. So let's go down into the stats area here. So our intelligence, as you can see, increases all damage for witch doctors and wizards, increases resistances for all classes. So it's pretty good. So already we get a 13% boost just based on the intellect alone that we've currently got. That's fine. We can also see stuff like defensive, block amount, block chance, dodge chance, damage reduction overall, Reduce damage taken from enemies of the same level as you. Once you get to level 70, then enemies just are the same level as you, so you get base damage reduction. Useful for tanks to come and have a look at that. Also useful for tanks is life. We're going to be looking at like life per second, life per hit, life per kill. That's important to us because we do occasionally take damage, but our character is primarily like a glass cannon type character. We are going to be trying to reduce damage taken just as much as possible. Okay, let's keep going. So now we need to go back and talk to Captain Rumford. So this is my flag, which I designed. Yeah, it's quite nice. Every character gets their, every player gets their own character sort of flag, which is really, really cool, and it works for all your characters. It helps sort of say who's playing in each one. So let's talk to him. Yeah, really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass my CC down right there, so they'll all be slowed and they'll all take additional CC damage there. So we need to kill the wretched mother, that's her,
there are more of them in the ruins,
and pick up this other simple dagger. So the simple dagger gives us more damage, but I don't really care for that because I'm a magic caster, so I don't really have to worry about melee damage all that much. And to be honest, I kind of like the ceremonial knife better anyway. So what we can do is we can select an item here, and we can hit our R3 or right stick button and do that. Junk. Now, once we've assigned the junk tag to any items, it will mean that those items will automatically, we can like sell those in a single button press. I want to wait for this to recharge. There we go. I'm going to summon it on there. Look, see, they're already dead. I don't have to worry too much about that. So I'm just going to wait for my Grasp of the Dead. So I'm going to summon it right there, so it means that anyone coming towards me that walks through it will take that damage. So we're doing pretty good damage with this guy, but I really want to get a new skill very soon, and I will be getting a new skill pretty soon as well. Okay, so I'm going to head down into this cellar here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cast that there. Then I'm going to draw him by attacking from here. Okay, I want to do that on this guy because he's got lots of health. So poison damage is pretty nice because you can just tag and forget. Adventuring short sword of the snake. Now, let's have a look. Every item has both magical items have a prefix and a suffix. The prefix is a little word right at the front of the item. So the item is a short sword, but the prefix here would be adventuring, and the suffix is of the snake. So if we have a look, of the snake is poison damage, and the adventuring is +2 experience per kill. So I'm going to pick that up. That's pretty nice. It has a lovely little poison thing for it, and it's very, very cool, and I like that. I like items which have these sort of glowing effects to them. So that's an enchanted magic sword, so I'm going to junk that other thing. Now, there's one little thing that I do need to talk about, and that's the build. So I'm going to be going for these corpse spiders. It's a signature spell, so it doesn't cost us anything, any magic to use. Throw a jar with corpse spiders that attack nearby enemies before dying. These are my favourite. It's a standard sort of minion which we can use. We're going to be getting that next. Now, I don't want to ruin the build, so I'm just going to sort of go through it as it happens. Okay, so again, we picked up an armor item. Now, because we don't actually have any armor, it auto-equips straight to us. So let's again look at the prefix and the suffix. So we got reptilian, that's the +3 life per second, and of slaughter, that's the suffix, +2 life after each kill. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's giving us life all the time. So we're getting life per second and life per kill. Very, very important to us. Means we heal quite quickly. Alright, so let's head out. Now, in some areas you might be tempted to just rush through. I wouldn't recommend this. What I would actually recommend doing, I'm just killing these guys from range here. What I would actually recommend that you guys do is not rush through, and in fact try and kill as many enemies as possible. Don't worry about time taken and stuff like that. Later on, it can, especially when you're in one of the sort of more final parts of the game, of the base game I'm talking about, not of the DLC. One of the main sort of parts, a lot of people rush through that level just because there's a lot of skippable stuff. Okay, so we've got to level 3. When we level up, it will tell us what we've unlocked. So we've unlocked a new skill, corpse spiders, which is really, really awesome. Throw a jar with corpse spiders that attack nearby enemies. So there we go. You throw it and they pop out. These guys will automatically attack. They're fantastic, and one of the minions that this build that I've created uses all the time. So now what we can do is we can chuck down our CC, but we can also chuck down our spiders. So we can keep guys in place and throw spiders to attack them at the same time. All the time I'm maintaining my distance, I'm far away from the enemies, I'm perfectly safe. I don't think I've even taken any damage so far. So there we go. So yeah, look, see, there's nothing they can do. So our spiders just very, very quickly just deal with enemies for us. And this is like a quarter of the amount of minions that I can bring to bear. I can bring an enormous amount of minions into the fight.
The mothers sleep once more.
The mothers sleep once more. Right. I'm going to chuck these guys in there. And look, they're just getting kills and kills and kills. So, even at this early time, we will be discussing difficulty, because right now I'm not having much problem with the games just whatsoever. Now I'd like to wait at least until I unlock zombie dogs before I move on to the next difficulty. Obviously growth is very important, but the growth is so fast, just even at this level, even at this low level, the growth is so fast it's not even worth just upgrading, and the amount of gold that you get from these first sort of areas just really isn't very much.
Oh, Tristan. Diablo's evil lingers everywhere here.
So, what I can do is I can just throw my spiders. There she is. So this is a sort of boss. And there we go. So, we picked up some new stuff. We've got gloves, gloves, gloves. And they're all grey. So, grey items should automatically be junk unless you don't have any like I had. Okay, so we've got Masterful Dagger of Wounding. So again, check them out. So what we can do is we can compare. We can simply press the X button, or the square button if you're playing on PlayStation, and we can have a look at that. So reduces all resource costs by 5% and plus 1 to 2 damage. Now, that would be quite good, but for me it's not important, because I'm not a dual wielding character anyway. I'd like to have both of these two if I could, but I don't want it. The other weapon is better, and even though the game is trying to tell me that it does more damage and it's sort of maybe slightly better for overall build usage, I personally find that having more experience per kill is great. And then in boosting poison damage, see it says plus 2 to 3 poison damage. Basically the way that works is that it boosts all poison damage done, and that the base damage of the sword is now poison damage. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to junk that, because I don't want it at this stage. This game is all about making decisions when it comes to loot, and most of the time I will be looking for the primary stat intellect just on everything. So we're going to head back to Trinston now.
Thank you.
Talk to Captain there. So we gained a item. They gave us an item for completing a quest. We got the reptilian... Okay, so we got the reptilian sash, which gives us plus 2 life per second, and we've unlocked a new skill, zombie dogs. This is our X skill here, so let's summon them. These are our zombie dogs, our second group of minions. We'll be using at least 3 groups of minions with this character, so we've got our spiders, and then we've also got our dogs. Our dogs will attack just like the spiders do. It's an automatic thing. Now at this point, I am actually going to change the difficulty up to hard, just so I can increase the amount of XP. So guys, that pretty much wraps it up for the episode. I'm going to teleport to the old ruins here, and then we're going to call it a day. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, which is really, really awesome, is that the game will naturally, we can just pause now. Once we get to a certain point, we'll be able to teleport back to town. And that will just, so if we can just use this waypoint to teleport back to Tristram. So now we've got this teleporter ready to go. So we can teleport back into the main storyline whenever we want. Yeah, so my guy, there's no enemies around, so I won't draw my sword. Got that lovely little poison effect on there, and that's great. Okay guys, so in the next episode, I'll be looking at more of the sort of town elements. I'll show you guys the blacksmith. You can see mine's sort of quite upgraded. I'll be showing you guys the gem guy. I just always call him the gem dude. You could probably just call him like the combiner or the artisan or whatever, but I like to call him that. And then I'll also be showing you the I call her the enchantment lady or the transmog lady, depending on what I want from her. She does two separate things. We can actually change the enchantments that we've got on items, which is fantastic. We won't be doing that. That's a very sort of custom thing. I'll only be doing it if there's an item which I like some of and just can't make my mind up on, and then I'll go back and try and enchant it. And then if I get a bad roll on the enchantment, then I won't even bother with it and I'll junk it. Okay guys, so the last thing that we've got to do, because we have some junked items, is we actually want to get rid of them. So I'm going to head up to this dude. I'm going to go to sell, and then I can just auto sell my loot there. So all the items marked as junk, I can just go click and just sell all of them for gold. Gold is important in this game. As you can see, I've got 46,000 gold. You won't start with that amount of gold. That's just based on the other characters that I've been playing. Gold I want to save for later. But anyway guys, we've just about run out of time on this episode. In the next episode we'll be carrying on. I'll explain about the artisans and we'll move the storyline along.